Let's get to Tim Walz, who, just when you think no one's sitting at this table, neither she nor the big white blanket, can embarrass themselves any further, he does. She asks him, to her credit, about the carrying the weapons in war, which we know is a lie. He never served in war. He's been stealing valor for quite some time.
So, picture this. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, often praised for his Minnesota nice charm and that easygoing Midwestern smile, suddenly finds himself face-to-face with Megyn Kelly. What started as a routine interview quickly took a turn, and let's just say, things didn't stay polite for long.
You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot.
It was supposed to be a light, casual conversation, the kind politicians usually breeze through. But Megyn Kelly came ready for something else. She confronted Walz head-on, pressing him on discrepancies in his military record. When she challenged his claims about carrying weapons in combat, the atmosphere shifted. The mask slipped.
Statements that just aren't true. And the comment about weapons of war that I carried in war, which you didn't. You said that you were in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square massacre when you weren't. You kind of chalked it all up to bad grammar or getting the dates wrong. Yeah. But your opponents say you lied to make yourself look better. Do they have a point? Well,
Walz's carefully constructed public image, built on stories of service and personal sacrifice, started to unravel. Those once powerful tales of heroism suddenly looked a lot less solid.
Look, 35 years ago, got the opportunity to be in Hong Kong, be in China, learned a lot about it, served 24 years in the National Guard, passionately, in an instance, talking about gun violence.
Kelly wasn't interested in softballs. She turned the heat up, refusing to let Walz hide behind rehearsed lines or affable charm. As each pointed question landed, his credibility took visible hits. It really makes you think, how much truth do we demand from our leaders? If you're into gripping moments like this, subscribe now. These stories matter, and your support helps bring them to light. Let's break down what really happened when Megyn Kelly went head-to-head with Tim Walz on live TV.
The fallout continues for Tim Walz on the disastrous performance he delivered, in particular when it comes to his self-described knuckle-headed behavior, which was just his latest in a series of lies. The reason he resorted to, I'm a knucklehead, was he got confronted with his latest lie.
The moment the interview began, you could feel it. This wasn't going to be easy. Kelly dove into Walz's military claims without hesitation. He'd repeatedly emphasized his time in uniform, suggesting he'd carried weapons in war zones. But the actual records painted a different picture. As Kelly pointed out these inconsistencies, Walz seemed caught off guard, stumbling through answers. The claim about being in a war zone began to sound like an attempt to elevate his image, a move that many see as stealing valor. Then came another red flag, a statement about being in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square massacre, another story not supported by facts. Kelly wasn't just exposing exaggerations, she was holding him accountable for building a public image on shaky ground. Walz tried to push back, pointing to his education work and public service, but the damage was already visible.
On Wednesday in Pennsylvania, and here's how he handled it.
I have my dates wrong. I was in Hong Kong and China in 1989. That move from Hong Kong into China, it was profound for me. That was the summer of democracy. I said it's where I understood how sacred democracy was. It's what encouraged me, about 15 back and forth with my students, taking them to China. I speak like everybody else speaks. I need to be clear, I will tell you that, but here's my whole point on that thing with China. I do understand China a hell of a lot better than Donald Trump. Kamala Harris.
Kelly wasn't buying the justifications. She used Walz's own words against him, showing a clear pattern of embellishment and narrative manipulation. This interview mattered. Walz, governor since 2019, has long leaned on a reputation for honesty and integrity, qualities expected in Minnesota's political culture. But on live TV, with every stammer and sidestep, the illusion of the all-shucks governor began to crumble. When a leader's image doesn't line up with reality, the fallout can be real, especially for supporters who once believed in it.
On an instance there, proud of the service that I've done, proud to be a teacher in that classroom, proud to have been very public all these years and owning it when I, said, look, I was there in August of '89. And I think the policies, whether it be dealing with China and understanding China's human rights record, what you can be certain there is that Kamala Harris and I aren't going to, pick dictators on speed dial.
Well, but it's one of the things with trust. So there are going to be some people who say, we can't trust him to even tell the truth about himself.
Yeah.
What do you say to them?
Well, I said they know who I am. I know who I am. I know the work that I've done. I know that things get spun in a political.
Kelly then pivoted to his leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic. Walz's attempt to project calm and control was re-examined. And it didn't hold up well under scrutiny. Clip 8. Kelly stripped away the governor's composed exterior, pointing to inconsistent, sometimes contradictory policies that left Minnesotans confused. For a leader who promised stability, the pandemic revealed a more chaotic reality. But she didn't stop there. She dug into his handling of social unrest, including his response after George Floyd's death. Walz appeared indecisive, trying to appease all sides, ultimately satisfying none. Kelly made it clear, this wasn't just about military records. It was about a pattern, one where leadership gave way to performance. These moments aren't just political, they're deeply personal for voters trying to place their trust somewhere real.
Well, they're comparing this moment by Tim Walz to that because he looked so inept and like a faker, like he didn't belong there and he was trying to convince us of something that wasn't real as he decided to go pheasant hunting. And Charlie, you're a gun guy. You tell me whether this looked authentic to you. Here he is.
Voters deserve leaders who lead with honesty and substance, not just charisma and clever sound bites. When someone says they were somewhere or did something, you want to believe them. Watching a polished political persona break down on camera was jarring, but maybe necessary. It's a reminder that we, the public, need to look beyond smiles and speeches. So let's talk. When a politician bends the truth, does it change how you see them? Drop your thoughts below. What stood out to you most in this showdown?
That's my theory. And it never fits quite right. Never fits quite right. It's not quite right. How do you give it back?
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This is a Beretta A400.
Let's step back and talk about why this confrontation actually matters beyond just one politician. Because when someone like Tim Walz, who's built a reputation on trust and small-town honesty, is caught bending the truth, it sends a ripple far beyond just a news cycle. Megyn Kelly's interview didn't just expose inconsistencies in his resume, it revealed something deeper, how easily the public can be sold a version of leadership that's more about optics than outcomes. We're living in a time when image often overshadows substance. But Kelly stripped that away in real time, and what was left? A man struggling to defend the very stories that got him elected, and here's the kicker, this isn't just about embellishing military service or misstating timelines. It's about what happens when public figures believe their charisma alone can insulate them from the consequences of misleading the people who put them in power. That moment where Kelly pressed Walz on his presence during the Tiananmen Square protests. It wasn't just fact-checking. It was a symbolic breakdown of the larger issue, truth inflation in politics. When those exaggerations are left unchecked, the public trust erodes. And once that trust is gone, it's nearly impossible to rebuild.
Doing this. Equally proud of my service in the classroom. Did I mention I was a teacher and a coach, an assistant coach? Okay, whatever. But it's more stolen valor. In the classroom, I'm in the classroom. My record speaks for itself. It doesn't actually. You've put a lot of lies into that record that you've been called out on by service personnel. You must clarify, as your campaign had tried to do. And now you appear to be distancing yourself from that clarification. And then here's, two pieces of this that are really, I speak like they do. People are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves. And I speak especially passionately about, and then he goes on to blame it on the school shootings. I guess he was upset about school shootings, so he lied. But stop saying you speak.
Now here's where things really cut deep. Kelly didn't just focus on past claims, she zoomed in on Walz's pattern of leadership. And this is important. Because anyone can make a mistake. But repeated misrepresentations, defensive pivots, and vague apologies. That paints a different picture. Kelly highlighted how Walz's leadership style, particularly during crises, often seemed more reactive than visionary. During COVID-19, policies changed by the week. During civil unrest, his words often landed too late or too softly. And rather than owning those moments with conviction, he leaned on the same soft-spoken persona that had once earned him public goodwill. But here's the truth: charm without clarity is not leadership. Smiles can't substitute for strategy. Kelly didn't allow Walz to hide behind public approval ratings or campaign slogans. She forced him to reconcile with a question every voter should be asking: when the pressure's on, who is this person really? Because the real test of a leader isn't when the cameras are off, it's when the lights are the brightest, and the answers actually matter. And in that studio, on that day, Walz didn't have them.